Hello, welcome to the Laws of Hanukkah. We are on Tafresh Ayin Dalet 674, starting from the beginning. Madlikin ner Hanukkah miner Hanukkah. According to the Mechaber, you are allowed to light from one Hanukkah candle to the other. Okay. V'davka lahadik mezel lezeh b'lo emtzai. That's only if you want to take one Hanukkah candle, let's say the Hanukkah candle from the first night, and use it to light the Hanukkah candle from the second night. B'lo emtzai, without a candle in between, meaning according to this opinion, you are allowed to take candle 1 to light candle 2, but you can't take a random candle and go from 1 and light to 2. Some allow even with an intermediary candle. Unless you are worried that the middle candle will go out before you get to light the second candle. Says the Ramah, "V'nogu lahachmir b'neros Chanukah shalod lahadlik afilu miner l'ner te'ikar mitzvaso eina ela ner echad v'hashar eina l'mitzvah kol kach v'lechein ein lahadlik zemizeh." He says that that the custom is not to light from candle A to candle B, because really, according to the letter of the law, one can fulfill the mitzvah of lighting Hanukkah lights with one candle. So that means, let's say it's the third night, you light 3 candles, because that's the custom, mahadrim and a mahadrim, and that's the way to do the mitzvah the best. Technically, you fulfill the mitzvah with the first candle. So if you're taking from the first candle and lighting to the second and third candle, the first candle is the main mitzvah, whereas the second and third candle are really not as important. So it's not good to be taking from the main mitzvah candle to light subsequent candles. This is only when they're still lit for their mitzvah. After this time, after the time that one needs to light the candles to fulfill the mitzvah, which we said is 30 minutes after Tzeiso Kachavim, so 30 minutes after sundown. So then one is allowed to get benefit from the candles. Meaning this is the whole issue here, that one cannot get benefit from the Hanukkah lights. So part of that is including that maybe you can't light from one candle to the other, and that's where we're having this whole conversation. The Ramah says you should be stringent. You shouldn't light from one candle to the other because you're not allowed to get any benefit. And included in that is lighting the Hanukkah lights. Now, the Ramah says that, he continues, but if it's after the time where one fulfills the mitzvah of lighting the Hanukkah lights, i.e. a half an hour after Tzeiso Kachavim, then it is allowed. And if you remember, we had some discussions, he quotes Tafresh Ayin Beis, where really it's not so good, even after 30 minutes after Tzeiso Kachavim, to get benefit from the lights. Really, the way that we hold, it sounds like, here might be a little different, which God willing we'll discuss in the Mishnah Berurah, but in general, technically, after 30 minutes after sundown, that the candles are still lit, one could get benefit from the candles. You could technically read a book next to it, but we paskin, you really shouldn't do that. Even after the 30 minutes, you really shouldn't do that. But since according to the letter of the law, it could be that you could light from one candle to another, because here it's a little different. It's like for a mitzvah purpose. And we'll discuss this a little more. Okay, so let's start the Mishnah Berurah. Ner Chanukah b'ner Chanukah, Mari Melal Rishon ve'elech sheyesh yoser miner echad umadlik zemizeh inami Belal Rishon ve'yesh shnei anashim b'veis echad shekol echad madlik b'fnei atzmim mitaron lahadik zemizeh dishteihem ner shel mitzvahim. After before the common v'simen Tafresh Ayin Hey shetzarach lehanich tchila makom v'achka echad lika v'kas v'taz l'kaman de alzman muad ein lahakbid al zeh. It's very interesting here. So what are we talking about here when we're talking about lighting from one candle to another? So either, like we said, we're talking about lighting from candle 1 to 2 to 3 on the subsequent nights, or we're talking about taking from my menorah to his menorah, lighting from candle 1 to candle 1. So that is, according to the first opinion in the Shulchan Aruch, that is allowed. Now, the Shulchan Aruch, the Mishnah Berurah cites here, we have an issue. There's a mitzvah to light the menorah in the place. You should light the menorah in the place where you're fulfilling the mitzvah. So how are we getting the candle? Let's say Reuven has a menorah, and Shimon wants to take a candle from his menorah and put it in his menorah. So we said this is the opinion where you're not allowed to use an intermediary candle. So how do you do that? because if I'm going to take Shimon's candle, then when it gets lit, it's not in the place where I'm doing the mitzvah. So he brings here the Taz that says if it's only for a short amount of time, it's not a big deal, it's totally fine. But according to other rabbis, it's over in Alzman Mod Gam Yesh Lahakrid, you should be stringent with that. You shouldn't light the menorah at all, even if it's in the wrong place, even if it's only for a little bit. So he says the case would be here that you have a very long candle, very long wick. Shimon's menorah has a very long wick, and you're taking that wick and putting it in Reuven's menorah, so that therefore you don't have to move. Shimon doesn't have to move his candle so that it's lit and put in the spot. Because the whole issue is there's a debate if for a small amount of time can you light the menorah in the wrong place and then put it in the right place. So according to those opinions that say for even a small amount of time it's a problem, so then we have to be talking about here where it's a long wick. Okay, so according to this opinion, you can't use a middle candle. Dein b'zeh bizoy mitzvah. Dein b'zeh bizoy mitzvah. Kevin d'shteihem shel mitzvahem. V'im kava echad mehaneros ein lahadlika min acherim afilu b'loyim tzai afilu kavsa b'toch shir azman dein b'hadlakazu mitzvah me'ikar hadin the kamal kavsa ein zakuk. He says that if a flame goes out, you shouldn't relight it from one of the flames of the menorah, because we say that if one of the menorah lights goes out, even if it's within the time, within the half hour, still you don't have to relight it, so you shouldn't relight it here. Al yedei ner shel chol aser, mipnei shenir k'mavaza shel mitzvah. Shemadlik menu ner shel chol, af al pi shehu osel litzarich mitzvah, v'ner shel shamish hu b'chlal ner shel chol hazeh, v'ayin l'kami b'sif katan tes. He says this is the first opinion. The first opinion says you can light from one candle to another without an intermediary candle. He says the reason is because an intermediary candle isn't a mitzvah candle. Even the Shamish, he says, you can't take from the menorah, which is a mitzvah, to a regular candle, which is a non-mitzvah, and then go to another menorah, which is a mitzvah. You can only take from one menorah to another or one candle to another. Now, if you're listening to this class, don't assume that we got the final halacha, because we still have a lot more to do in this seif. So we're not at the final halacha. We just discussed many opinions. Some say that you can light from one Hanukkah candle to another as long as there's nothing interposing. There's no other random candle in between. And then another opinion says you can even do it with another candle in between. And then we have the Ramah that says you shouldn't do it at all. So if you come to the next class, we will discuss what the final halacha is. But as of now, we did not reach a final conclusion. We're just introducing many of the opinions.